Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have an audio problem, which is mine. So for those of una we don't begin join, if una dey hear me or una dey hear the intro to the program, please give me a thumbs up sign. If una dey hear me, please give me a thumbs up sign. Okay. Let me just see what in the audience they say. To Barry Safa. So, like I say, if anybody hear me, please give me a thumbs up sign. I think there's an audio problem. This is a very serious, important interview. Should not have to go through this. Memuna to Barry Safa, loud and clear. My dames. Memuna to Barry, welcome to the program. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to the TNN Media Podcast. Today, na Sunday, the 23rd of February 2025. Me where they talk to una this evening. Now, my name Prince Emil Kroma. Obviously, there are familiar people here tonight, and there will be unfamiliar people because every time on social media, you get new people and they follow you for different reasons. But we want to say welcome to everybody. Very important program tonight. But here we are. The issue of social cohesion, social justice, and the lack of transparency and accountability in any democracy is a problem. And it is a problem as such, where they create friction in the very society and create a rift or a barrier between government and people and government. We have to remember one thing. Government and people are one. Sound like different names, of course, but they are one. They are one, I must repeat. Power is vested in the people, and every now and then during election period, those aspiring to lead and make decisions for our country come to the people. This is just a simple process. Come to the people to ask for their mandate to go and govern in their behalf. So these people, they equally have a right for question government at an appropriate time and in an appropriate way. But sometimes governments become despots, they become dictatorial, they become authoritarian. That the people and way once upon a time they went to for ask them permission for govern and let the people and give them the vote, they have no more respect for such people. So government of Sierra Leone in particular, today what I want to talk about, has lost the skills of management and leadership. When I say this, of course, I will address this at some point because sometimes, and I do care about it, I care about words. That's why I use words carefully. I respect words. I respect the value of words. And when I say these things, I don't say them in an unobjective way, in a biased way. I mean them. And if we are honest and sincere, we will see where we are coming from for understand all of this. So I repeat, government have lost the skills of management as the government of Sierra Leone and leadership for run the country. Waiting the people of Sierra Leone have been asking for a significant period of time is a leadership that is trustworthy. It's a leadership that is sincere, that is honest. And nowadays, people, and they talk about government of Sierra Leone officials. I mean, we are being straightforward today because it's time we begin to pull the bull by the horn. They are allowed to say and do what they like because there's no accountability process. No accountability process. And we can cite many, many examples. Okay? There is no respect for ministerial code. Once upon a time, something they call ministerial code. If ministers, appointed ministers, were to violate some codes of office, they will be held accountable, or at least they need to explain themselves. Even criminals are no longer fearful of a system because the system has become so somehow, because we they rule by patronage, cronyism, nepotism. If the criminal are you criminal, or the criminal commit an act of criminality against the people, but in your behalf and you did a government, then of course that criminal will go free. That criminal will be harbored by the very, very state. Going forward, the Julius Maada Bio government is known to govern from perception and emotion. And I don't use these words lightly, like I say, I will justify them very soon. And not on the basis of reality and facts. It's purely propaganda. And there are foot soldiers, who are trying their very best for make sure say negative messages of this kind, are propagated to the people in a positive spin, even though the truth on the ground, the facts on the ground are completely different. They are so unhinged. They will tell you, the people, we the people, that the nation is doing well, when we know that the welfare of the people is really at stake, when we know that the security of the people in many respects, whether it's food security, mental security, physical security, every one of these things is at stake. Now, I am just passionate about things that I say for my country, in behalf of my country. And I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. I really do my homework before coming on social media for try for part with words to my compatriots, my fellow countrymen. I do. Before talking, I do my homework, I check out the references, or I back my statement with references. When I speak, I am talking about facts. I am talking about empirical data. This is what I deal with that supports my argument. Today, I get a very special guest. And this guest, of course, kind of know each other, but this is his first time where they appear on this particular platform. And this guest of ours, without much ado, ladies and gentlemen, is none other but Dr. Veenod Fullah. Dr. Fullah, welcome to the TNN Media Empire program. This now podcast, and really excited for see you. And we get Bokutin here for talk about, and I want for challenge certain notions. And once more, welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kuruma. I'm really privileged and honored for you for inviting me to your very reputable platform today to discuss about pressing challenges and issues facing our country, Sierra Leone. And by God in power, I'm here to not only to give an insight, but also to offer solutions in the capacity I am representing on this platform, which is the Sierra Leone Advocacy movement. Thank you. And I appreciate the audience as well.
Thank you for your kind words. Really do appreciate that. And definitely we will come to the advocacy side of things. But before going to the advocacy side of things, which I think we will talk at length about, I want just to begin with some things then, because there's an historical antecedent to many of the things that probably most likely that we get for talk about this evening. And lest we forget, not too very long ago, charges of crimes against humanity were brought against the sitting president of the Republic of Sierra Leone. This, at the time, and even as we speak now, was unprecedented, especially within our spheres, our political sphere, from the background we come up with topography, with geography. But yet this was done. I would like to let you brief the Sierra Leonean people as to who we did today with this particular case, because there is a lot of interest in it. It seemed to have gone cold. But just before we go there, why were crimes or charges of crimes against humanity brought against the sitting president, Julius Maada Bio, at the time?
Thank you very much, Mr. Prince Kuruma. This is a very legitimate, interesting, and sensitive questions and observation. And I will start from the beginning. We are all aware, say, since the current illegitimate, I call him illegitimate president, because as far as the term is concerned, he is not a legitimate president. But since when he was president at the beginning of 2018, there were a lot of human rights violations. There were and still a lot of extrajudicial killings up to date as we speak up to date. There are a lot of people being arrested and prosecuted. Some are not even prosecuted. the habeas corpus writ has not been observed, and the press freedom is being muzzled and censored. People are not allowed to protest. And as I said, there are a lot of heinous crimes carried in our country from 2018 up to date. As a result of this, people like us, I was with the concerned citizens before then, we decided for say, enough is enough. We cannot continue to have a tyrant, somebody where they misruled the country, but also abuse in powers. There is no rule of law in the country. So we thought it fit that enough is enough. We decide for come together as a group and went to The Hague in Netherlands, Den Haag in Dutch. And I was the leading, among other people, persons, let me correct this, who made complaint, presented petition to the chief prosecutor of the ICC, that is the International Criminal Court in The Hague. And in that complaint I was there, and with Sal Camara, I physically presented the dossier of charges, which you prefer, but we call them complaint or petition. We took to the chief prosecutor and gave it to his aide and signed for it. That notwithstanding, we also went to the United Nations on the 24th of October and also presented the same to the United Nations Secretary General Representative. It took us nearly 2 hours to do the presentation there. We did a physical presentation and also handed over a dossier of the complaints and substantial evidences relating to human rights violations, extrajudicial killings, crimes against aggression, crimes against humanity, and all sorts of evidences we have. We present them to both the ICC and the UN for their action. That is what we did, and we are still pursuing that up to date.
Yeah, many thanks for that, Dr. Veenod. But if I can just push further on, because these are serious crimes and against a sitting head of state. 2 quick questions on the part. The petitions were made. It appeared like in 2 parts. But I want to ask, is there a technical difference between the presentation we una go do to the UN as opposed to the Hague? We una physically hand out the petition to officials of either side. Is there a difference? Are these not 2 of the same bodies? That will be my first question, and I go wait for let you answer this and before I move to the next one.
There is no difference, because when you look at in terms of referral of crimes or petitions to the ICC, the UN can make a referral, particularly the United Nations Security Council can make a referral to the ICC. State parties can also make a referral to the ICC, but also civil societies or third parties can also make a referral where we fell in. So the reason why we went to the UN is to put file pressure, not only because we already submitted we referral, we make the petition, which I believe the chief prosecutor is looking into it, and he had acknowledged receipt of that petition. So we emphasize and make sure the action is taken speedily, we decided to go to the UN and further pile pressure, because the UN also can make referral to the the ICC, the UN through the Security Council. So we decide for go present the same petition so that then go pile pressure and make an indictment where it is preferable, where substantial grounds have been found.
Okay, I think we lost Dr. Veenod there briefly. Hopefully Dr. Veenod Fullah, Mary, I will say, as much as of a referral we then bring against President Julius MAADA bill, in which representation was made or petitions were filed, both at The Hague, we host the ICC, and that the United Nations. So we've got him back. Dr. Fullah, many thanks for that, and I guess you did hear me. Now the charges the way or the referrals the way we want to make against the sitting president are quite serious.
I will use the word petition, the petition or complaint, because we don't do referral.
From now going forward,
petition and complaint presented. Yes.
Brought against the president, Julius MAADA bill. But it is based on crimes against humanity, correct, sir?
Correct.
Yeah. So crimes against humanity obviously get a definition and a threshold for a person, reach that point. And when they talk about murder, torture, persecution, sexual and gender-based crimes, deportation, forcible transfer, so forth and so on. Are we saying that this
disappearance?
I mean, there are many more, and thank you for that. Yeah, we could go on and on. But the point that I'm trying to make, or the question I'm trying to ask, how does the president fit in this category? We make a petition or complaint was brought against him on this basis.
Well, the president did fit into this. Fortunately, I don't want to sound arrogant, but I think myself, Priscilla, the former Attorney General, and Professor Chernobyl of the United States are the only I know people who qualify in international criminal law. Both myself and these two people are the only Sierra who read international criminal law up to doctorate level. So this is my area of expertise. And I will take you to what we call joint criminal enterprise in international criminal law. Joint criminal enterprise, if you as head of state or a commander, you are in charge of a battalion, or you are in charge of a particular section, or you are in charge of a country, and something happened, you did not try to put a stop to it. That is what we call, you ought to know, you should have known. So in this case, based on joint criminal enterprise, JCE, and command responsibility in international criminal law and human rights law, as well as humanitarian law, President Bio, then, now illegitimate President Bio, is guilty of these crimes because he was the president, he is not the illegitimate president. He should have known, he ought to know when these crimes are committed. There is no way he will shift blame. And he give you a case in the example, like the case of Charles Taylor, who was found for aiding and abetting. You should have known. You should know, although he denied the crimes, but he was found guilty. And Issa Kamara and the others, they are found guilty based on this principle. So there is no way President Bio will say he is head of state and he never knew what went wrong and he did not investigate and never brought the people to culprit or to justice. So for that reason, he is culpable and he should be held responsible to account for these crimes.
Okay. Okay, I think we've lost Dr. Veenod there. It must be a bit temperamental tonight. So, Fambule, we lost Dr. Veenod there again briefly, but he's going to definitely come back. And he was zooming on a very, very important point just before we lost him. But as soon as he come back, we'll allow him for just continue. And he was zooming on. Yeah, Doctor, I think you're back, so you can just continue from where you believe you left off.
I don't know whether it's my end or your end, because I can hear you and I can hear myself. I don't know what transpired. Can you ask the audience if then they get me? So if not, I will change the internet.
No, Mr. Steph, they get you now, but at some point you've disappeared twice. I've got a backup doc, where I can just try for make sure say they get me. Yeah, but I will take the responsibility from now because I'm the anchor, I'm the host, you know. But like I say again, if you should lose me, you just continue do your talking. Myself, the monitor you as you the talk, sir. So carry on where you were.
So as I said, the responsibility lies solely on President Bio because he was the head of state from 2018 up to 2023. He is now the legitimate head of state. Whatever transpired, whatever killings that did take place during those period and up till now, because he is the head of state, he ought to know, he should have known, and because of individual command responsibility based on international humanitarian law and human rights law, he is responsible. He should be held to account for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The responsibility for being in charge, whether commander then they under you and etc. You are the boss. The buck stops at the desk of the president. Before I go to the final question on this issue on charges or complaints or referral, as we should refer to them today, against the president on the basis of crimes against humanity, I've heard you said several times, sir, that is illegitimate. I wonder whether you want to throw light on what you exactly mean and why is he an illegitimate president?
Well, it is simple and it's crystal clear. It's evidence-based. We all know that illegitimate President Bio was president from 2018 up to June 2023 when the elections were held. Well, after June 24, 2023, he proclaimed himself to be the president of Sierra Leone. Those elections were stolen. The mandate of the people, Mr. Kuruma, let's don't mock about these things. Were stolen. It is crystal clear. So up to this time, the mandate of the people's vote, their rights have been taken away, and as you know, it is still contentious. Those elections are still contentious. So until we try to right the wrongs of 2023, we resolve them, the current president and his administration, including the members of parliament, are illegitimate.
Wow. That's quite a tall statement there, but I guess the audience will see where you are coming from. Like I say, we need for veer off, and I think it's just about time for us to veer off to the next segment of we program. But once again, just before we do that, so in terms again, Dr. Fullah, on the basis of referrals or complaint made against President Julius Maada Bio, apparently illegal, as probably you will get for
illegitimate. The right term is illegitimate, and I will maintain that. He is illegitimate.
Illegitimate leader in quotation marks, quote unquote. Where are we exactly with these referral and complaint made to the United Nations? Are the Sierra Leonean people supposed to keep their fingers crossed, hopeful that potentially something will come out of this, and what should they expect?
Okay, now I'm talking here as not only a legal luminary, but also representing a big organization that is impartial. And I would lay the facts. Anything I say here, are facts. The issues are factual and they are evidence-based. Now, I will take you to Article 15 of the International Criminal Court, which states, it says there is what a term called pro motu, which means it allows the prosecutor to initially investigate in their own initiative without a referral from the United Nations Security Council or third-party states. And once they do, they get this referral, for example, from us, from a third party, not state parties, but third parties or individual organizations. it empowers, the people motto empowers the prosecutor for when there is reasonable, and I'll use this word, when there is reasonable basis to believe that a crime within the jurisdiction of the court has been committed. Now, this is what is happening with the current under Article 15 of the ICC. The chief prosecutor is investigating, analyzing petitions presented by concerned cell unions and SLAM and other interested groups based on crimes against humanity, on human rights violations, extrajudicial killing, and disappearance. He is investigating them, but he has no right to indict. Go to Article 15 of the ICC, he will tell you that. He will look into the issues we presented, the petition we presented to him. He will analyze them. In his own accord, he will make an investigation. If there is any reasonable basis to believe or there is substantial evidence to prove that these crimes have been committed and that the crimes are within the jurisdiction of the court, which they have been committed, then it approach the pre-trial chamber. This is very important. The pre-trial chamber. The pre-trial chamber constitutes 3 judges. It could be more than 3 judges, but it should be an odd number. It could be 5, it should not be 4. It could be 7, it should not be 6. But for now, it has 3 judges. It presents in findings to the pre-trial chamber and asks the court to determine whether to further the investigation and proffer an indictment. The 3 judges in the pre-trial chamber will look at the evidence and the presentation submitted by the chief prosecutor before they can trigger an arrest warrant. They should be able to prove that there is substantial grounds or reasons to believe that, yes, this particular submission get enough evidence before they give the prosecutor the go-ahead under Article 58. That comes to Article 58 of the ICC. The pre-trial chamber will then trigger what we call an arrest warrant, say go ahead and do the arrest, but this arrest warrant constitutes 2. You have the seal arrest warrant and the non-seal arrest warrant. For example, Netanyahu, of the Prime Minister of Israel, has an open arrest warrant because according to the pre-trial chamber, there is all evidence adduced, there is all substantial evidence to prove that he was and still guilty of crimes against humanity and even war crimes, when war crime constitutes burning houses, and other important places. So that's unsealed warrant. But where in this case, you have a sealed warrant, we may not know, maybe there's a sealed warrant for illegitimate president. If there's a sealed warrant, this sealed warrant will be kept sealed until such a time when this particular individual or culprit or perpetrator is held to account before they unsealed the warrant itself. So there are 2 areas. So we cannot say whether this thing is laid into the dust or not. And I can confirm with you that when we presented the petition, it was acknowledged to me in writing, and I have that evidence.
And that's what I wanted to ask about. When you guys made a presentation, obviously there was much fanfare about it in some respect because it was recorded. It was a high-profile thing that Sierra Leoneans had come together and made a petition or submitted a petition, a referral, like you would like to say, or a complaint against the sitting president. You mentioned the Israeli prime minister, for example, but all of these are yet an accusation because they are then given the opportunity to appear to defend themselves, correct?
No, well, let me correct you there. As I may say, under Article 58, when the prosecutor, let me try all over again. under Article 15, the prosecutor, they received complaints from us, which he did. Receive the complaint, will analyze the complaint without going to the pre-trial chamber on his own accord and his team. They will investigate. In fact, they would go to the country concerned. They would caution, they would investigate, they would have meetings, even possibly with the cooperation of the government or civil societies or non-NGOs and even government officials. After all the analysis, they would come back. If they found out that there is, I repeat again, substantial evidence, reason to believe that these crimes are enough to be prosecuted or to be investigated, then go take the particular investigation or findings to the pre-trial chamber, okay, where you have 3 judges. And these 3 judges will look at the crimes. If they believe, say, yes, this thing, if I go ahead, there is enough evidence to prosecute, they will then give, or what we call in law, acquiesce, agree to, concur, agree with the prosecutor to say, yes, go ahead and investigate. Once you don't do investigation, if they believe, say, there is reasonable evidence to say, yes, this person should be indicted, the perpetrators should be indicted, that is time the Article 58 comes in to trigger for a warrant. So in this instance, once you don't reach Article 18, once there is an indictment, it means that there is sufficient, substantial evidence, grounds to prove that this particular individual should face the law and should be investigated. They would
we are far from that as yet, but we get many other grounds then.
We don't know yet. We don't know. Possibly there is a sealed indictment. We don't know. As I said to you, there is a sealed and non-sealed indictment.
But Dr. Fullah, we can say until we know, we don't know. So therefore, the open question is, we are far from it as at yet. Because
we are not far from it. No, we are not still far from it. This is why I'm saying it. Let me also give you another explanation. The prosecutor in his first stage, if he presents a petition or complaint, if they realize that, oh, there are not enough grounds or evidence to adduce or to investigate, they will dismiss the case. Well, it's not in this case.
Yeah, no, but let me challenge some of that.
Before it goes to pre-trial chamber, they would come back to you to say, but this is not enough for me to actually investigate or do analysis. But it has not happened in this case.
So let me ask you, as a matter of precedent, depending on the magnitude of the matter put before the court or the bodies that you've made this referral to or complaints, that would be
the prosecutor. We don't go to the court. The prosecutor will take it to the court.
That would be on the magnitude of the case. So
correct. Substantial grounds. I will use the word substantial grounds.
No, you have
reason to believe. Yes.
You have to forgive me, Dr. Fullah, that I am not a lawyer. Okay,
I agree.
So I'm trying to meander, and I know I'm talking to a lawyer, so I'm being very careful. But what I'm trying to say here will be well understood. We can use all the lawyer legal jargons, but at the end, we just want to get through to our audience. So the point that I am trying to make, Dr. Fullah, is all of this will be based on the magnitude, because then the matter in itself will be pressing for it to be heard, okay, for it to reach a pre-trial chamber, because probably crimes against humanity, if it's happening, then it needs to be stopped and action needs to be taken.
Absolutely.
Correct?
I couldn't agree with you more.
So when was the last time you presented your case, or you made your referral or your complaint?
Up till the 19th of February.
The year?
2025.
2025. So that was a reinforcement, because that was not the initial time that you did make. You were just a follow-up.
Well, we have what we call Article 15, wherein anyway, let me say this.
So when you make a petition, the prosecutor is allowed to initially investigate. We've heard that. Correct?
Let me explain. Let me explain.
All right.
You can still use Article 15 for updates. Any information you get to the prosecutor. And I would tell you, say, anybody will make a complaint and it's acknowledged, they will tell you, say, okay, no, sorry, Article 17, not Article 15. use Article 17 and make an update. Okay, so it is through there you update, you upgrade, you inform any recent developments to the ICC. Not only me, there are a lot of people like Lawyer Wuri who do the same, and one Mr. Kamara, they do the same. Once you presented a complaint, a petition to the prosecutor, once it is acknowledged, they will ask you to use Article 17 to update any recent development through a link.
Yes,
you can update evidence through there. So the point I'm saying, up to the 19th of February, we have been updating them.
But that's why I just said, Dr. Fullah, it's an update because this referral complaint was made quite some time ago. And that was the question to you. And you said February of 2025. And I said that's an update. But my point, my broader point, Dr. Fullah, is if the complaint, if the referral was urgent enough, that would be pressing for the matter to be called forward or to be heard or action to be taken, because there will be people dying, there will be rape and other crimes being committed, and that has to stop. But what I'm trying to say is your case probably does not rise to that threshold that it is urgent enough for action to be taken immediately against the man you deem and term as an illegitimate, quote-unquote, president.
I couldn't disagree with you more, Mr. Kuruma.
Thank you very much, sir.
Maybe if you look at also the Constitution, that is what we call immunity. The president has an immunity once you are a president, a sitting president. You understand? So it is, there is also what we call, there is no statute in international criminal law, and look it up. There is no statute of limitation for perpetrators of crimes against humanity. Even if it, let me put it into context, perspective. Even if it takes them 100 years, Mr. Kuruma, they will be brought to justice. It has nothing to do with whether there are substantial grounds or not, but the fact that the crimes are there, and besides, this particular current illegitimate president has an immunity by the Constitution. So he is being safeguarded.
It is still an accusation.
Let me finish. Let me establish my point. Okay. We presented a petition.
I know you're trying to wear your lawyer gown and your lawyer cap. So I'll give you the chance. Sir.
Yeah, the point I'm saying, that is why I refer to Article 15 of the ICC. Yes, 17? It is. No, I said Article 15, whereby the prosecutor would analyze the case. Maybe the prosecutor is still investigating. We never know. We presented this matter. Let me give you the exact date. The first presentation at the ICC was on the 14th of August, 2023. That was when we presented a case at the ICC. On the 24th of October, 2023, we went to the UN. So this is the length of time. So it's highly probable that they are doing investigations, as I did say to you, before the prosecutor can indict, has to do analysis, has to get enough evidence, will go to the country and will actually collaborate with the government and non-governmental officials, other NGOs, gather evidence before he takes the case to the pre-trial chamber, of which constitutes of 3 judges. And he would ask them, he would request them to allow him to indict this particular perpetrator. The pre-trial chamber will look at the case itself. If there is any reason to believe, that there are enough substantial grounds for an indictment, then they will trigger Article 58 and ask for an indictment.
Okay.
So probably we can't guess. The process is still going on. But absolutely. Based on statute of limitation, under international criminal law, even if it takes you 100 years, you can still be brought to justice.
Okay, absolutely. I'm in agreement with you there. I am just on the side of the Sierra Leonean people who are eagerly awaiting justice.
I understand.
But we know justice delayed is justice denied. But patience is also another good virtue. Many thanks for opening up and explaining in detail what this process entails. I want to move on to another subject, which is at the nerve center of our current conversation, not only between me and you, and I'm talking about a national on international level, sir. And then the issue of electoral justice. Ever since elections were held on in 2023. I think that was June 2020. I mean, June 24, 2023. It's been questions of all kinds and many questions, if you like, but very few answers that has left Sierra Leoneans more in despair, more feeling insecure than at any time in our recent history. Out of this, because we could go on, and I believe that the description of the current president, where you just say illegitimate, okay, will have come from. Of course, we will talk about that briefly. But out of all of this came an issue way very dear to the heart of many Sierra Leoneans, which is the issue of electoral justice. Electoral justice now, people, they kind of define them in different ways, and etc., etc. And you, Dr. Fullah, I believe through your organization, where we go come to, because at the Trifle we seam down, into the advocacy and why and etc. But the things them will lead to that, and one of them is electoral justice. And you are the center of the struggle. Tell us what electoral justice is, Dr. Fullah, if you will, so that, lay the case, please.
Now, I want people to take pen and paper. And maybe when I don't know,
I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Electoral justice, by definition, means the process ensuring that every stage of an election, from registration, voting, to results, is free, fair, and transparent, and that all complaints or disputes are resolved effectively. Let me repeat. Electoral justice is the process ensuring that every stage of an election, from registration, voting, to result, is free, fair, and transparent, and that complaints or disputes are resolved effectively. I'll leave it at that. If you want me to propound on examples of electoral justice issues from recent elections, I would.
Yeah, if you can just make of course you should, okay. But for the benefit of time, sir, instead of we do a classroom sort of some scenario, yes. Yeah, probably just a little bit of anecdotal evidence and description of the past and how we come to where we are, sir.
Well, let me propound it. Okay, based on that definition, it's very clear. Say the elections of June 24, 2023 were stolen. People's time and efforts were wasted. It was brazenly done in daylight robbery. So obviously, what are we doing? What's SLAM? SLAM is there to educate the people about their right. When they hold the elections, we all know, say, people are not sleep even 4 a.m. in the morning. And we all know, say, the current illegitimate commissioner, who is Kone, did something wrong. And what do I mean? He announced the illegitimate president with 60% of the votes cast without taking into account results from Poloko, Bombali, and other places in the south as well. And up to this time, because I want for just everybody knows the story, this led to a lot of compromises. For example, the Bintimani conference, the tripartite that was initiated for trying to resolve the issue of this during 2024 elections. And in the tripartite meeting, we all know, the SLPP failed woefully to present their own RR reforms. unlike the opposition, will present their own forms, wherein it is claimed that Dr. Samura Kamara scored 57%, the SLPP could not present their own result. They said they rely on Commissioner Kane's result. And when he was asked, including the Salon Advocacy movement, we've written to him, we've asked him to present the disaggregated data, he never even acknowledged receipt. Neither the ECSL, nor the government, nor other parastatals never acknowledged receipts to the effect. So that is unacceptable. We cannot sit down and allow wrong things to happen. And let me tell you this, Mr. Kuruma. This is why Sierra Leone, during our time, maybe you could also attest to this, Sierra Leone was a very peaceful country. People were very honest and open and transparent. But since the time when this illegitimate president became a president, all the wrong things have been written in that country. And let me tell you what, even these children, they do copy from bad examples. And that is why we are saying until the wrongs of 2023 elections, June 2023 elections, those wrongs are resolved, we will never, never rest until we make sure that the right thing is done. Because for posterity's sake, we cannot sit down and allow these things to happen. Tomorrow, the younger generation will think, oh, this is a norm. This is acceptable. I will do the same in offices, in schools, in exams. So those wrongs have to be have to be corrected. The June 2024 elections, those wrongs have to be resolved. We all know, say, the elections were stolen, and we are still asking the ECSL, Kone, to produce the result, and until that happens, no, we will not rest on our oars, because it is unfair. There is no, as you said, no transparency, there is no honesty and no accountability with this government and the institutions, even with the judiciary, even with the legislative and the executive. So these things, those wrongs have to be written and have to be resolved. So that is why we are, as I just defined, what is electoral justice, the day of registration, the day of voting, on to the result, there should be transparency. It should be fair and, fairness in all stages. It should be free and fair. But the elections were not free and fair. There are a lot of intimidation up till this time. People protest. Last December, 8 of the youths were held. Babadi and Wadi Williams were held in prison. The rite of habeas corpus was not observed. They were there for over 10 days, which is wrong. The rule of law is not being observed. Why is the judiciary? The judiciary has been compromised. So that is why we come in as an advocate organization, non-partisan, in the interest of the citizens and also for uphold justice and human rights. And that is why we continue to fight for electoral justice. Until democracy is restored in that country, we will not rest, by God's grace, until we see justice.
Okay. All right, Dr. Fullah, many thanks for elucidating this issue so very well, articulating it so very well. Shouldn't come as a surprise to many, because of course you've been doing this for like ages. It's part of your DNA now, I suppose. But there are many questions I would like to ask to this regard before again we move down to Slam. The fight, is it making the government of Sierra Leone, I will talk about the current one, even though you term them as illegitimate, is it making them more accountable or less accountable?
Well, our aim is for them to be accountable, but that is not happening. And that is why we are pushing forward with our advocacy.
So now that leads me to asking you, because now we talk about advocacy and Fambulem, this is really, really the core of the matter where I want to get to. And I think it's an issue with Dr. Fullah himself really go left for address, which is about the issue of the fight that they are in now in a different way. And it's about the organization called SLAM, we will therefore talk about and what they represent. But just before then, just want to talk about advocacy a little bit, because most of us will understand what the advocacy is about, and not in a particular way where this one they go, but we get the general sense of what advocacy does. We know that it helps people and for become more involved with important decisions. So in other words, you get an engine or an advocacy group where they provide overall information to people and so that they are informed. So actions then where they take is based on information when they get. Advocates can help people and for understand their rights, their options, and support individuals for making informed decisions, just like I've been saying. So advocacy such as Dr. Fullah, they expect, and we will ask her shortly, now for help people for change their lives, for understand their responsibility, both civic, constitutional, and other responsibility within their country outside the day. Advocacy also get key points. And what are those key points? We will therefore understand from Dr. Fullah. And when you get an advocacy organization, it represents certain things. And that takes me to Dr. Fullah again. Dr. Fullah, SLAM. What is SLAM? Who is SLAM? Who is in SLAM? What about SLAM?
Well, SLAM, as you already mentioned, was established June last year. SLAM, Salon Advocacy Movement, is committed to advocating for good governance, transparency, accountability, and human rights. That is what we are for. But more significantly, SLAM is a non-partisan organization. And SLAM is interested in accountability and advocacy because accountability is geared to everybody, any leader, any government, regardless party affiliation, regardless where you come from. And SLAM, they only advocates for people's interest, but also it push forward for certain actions and propose actions then. Would they push for an independent inquiry? We would demand an independent investigation into the reported electoral justice irregularities for ensure, say, we get evidence, and we'll review transparency and correct actions are taken. SLAM will advocate for or implement for observer, what we call observer recommendations. We go pressure the government for adopt reforms recommended by the international and the local observation missions. For example, the EU, ECOWAS, Qatar, and other international organizations, new for improved future election inquiry and integrity. We go also SLAM, and in fact, this is a continuous process. They engage with political stakeholders in electoral dialogue. Now, don't say examples, Mr. Kurma and audience. Most recently, we made representation at the House of Commons with Neil Quell, where we presented the interest of the people of Sierra Leone. SLAM's work is not about APC or SLPP. SLAM's advocacy is about the soul of the nation. It's about the interest of the people. It's to make sure people's interest and people's human rights are upheld. SLAM will facilitate inclusive discussions among political parties, civil society, groups them, and also election bodies for building what we call a consensus on electoral reforms and fair democratic practices. In terms of monitor and expose, we go monitor and expose electoral misconduct. SLAM will establish what we call an independent monitoring framework for track election-related misconduct publish results on electoral transparency, and hold officials accountable for malpractices. But more significantly, SLAM will empower citizens them through what we call voter education. This is part of the advocacy we do. As you may observe, there are a lot of people in Australia, they go out, they educate people on electoral justice. That is the work of SLAM. So people then will know their rights them. We will launch a nationwide, which we've already done, civic education now and in the future, campaigns for informed citizens about voter rights, electoral integrity, and the importance of democratic participation. Because when we take these bold strategic actions, SLAM will play a crucial role or critical role in safeguarding democracy and ensuring that future elections in Sierra Leone are free, fair, and transparent. So that's SLAM intend for do. We also intend for do another thing because our mission is to promote accountability, socioeconomic justice, equitable policies that uplift Sierra Leoneans. So we focus areas then. Now, one, electoral justice, ensuring free and fair, transparent elections. Human rights advocacy, defending civil rights, liberties, and freedoms. Anti-corruption efforts, holding leaders accountable for all public funds. Educate and also advocate on welfare reforms as well as healthcare reforms, because the healthcare situation in our country today is quite deplorable. We all can attest to it. We advocate for better access and quality youth empowerment. We will create opportunities for employment and leadership. Also, we will push for transparent voting processes. This way, if implemented to the letter and help for educate the citizens' interests and rights, I believe it will bring in transparency, it will bring in knowledge, and it will bring in voters' rights and human rights to the country, where people they know their rights, and it will help the country for push forward. That's what SLAM has been doing, will continue to do now and the future.
Yeah, Dr. Fullah, many thanks for making clear what in the organization stand for, and generally advocacy, conscientizing the Sierra Leonean people about their rights and what they can demand for, and etc. Where I go get for come to. But I want to ask you this, Dr. Fullah. SLAM seems to be only critical about government, and rightfully so, but not about others. What do you say to people where they say, well, an advocacy movement, as objective as they can be, should be critical of all sides, when our stakeholders them are the running of the society. One side can be greater in the crimes, in the way that they conduct themselves, and most likely will be government. But there's another side as well, where most likely in this case might be the opposition, but there doesn't appear to be any sort of criticism as to the way the opposition has been or is conducting itself. What would you say to such people who will lay such accusation on your doorstep?
I would vehemently disagree with those people, and I will refer those people for making them go on our website, on our Facebook, and also probably read with publications. We don't produce nearly 50 publications whereby there is evidence to adduce, to prove, to attest that SLAM is a non-partisan organization. Just like I just mentioned, I highlighted what SLAM they do in terms of for educate, for create awareness among the populace. We are non-partisan. Our interest, and I want to make us specifically, crystally, and abundantly clear here, that is citizens' rights and human rights. Citizens' rights and upholding human rights. And I did mention about accountability. Accountability is for every leader, whether it is APC, SLPP, PMDC, PDP, is for every leader, and there is evidence.
Yeah, but the point here, Dr. Fullah, if I can just interject respectfully, is some of it is just mere words. The harshest is reserved for the government. And what you are saying in terms of the question asked as to what would you say to people who will be critical of you in terms of not having anything critical about the opposition, you are just saying, like, this is what we represent, the broader base, and we know, we are objective and etc. But you are being extremely critical about government, and rightfully so. But when it comes to the opposition, we're supposed to hold government equally accountable. There is no word of criticism per se. You want to name something specific, Usa, you criticize other than just in passing?
Well, thank you for that. I was just developing my point, Mr. Kurma, but that's fine for triggering me. As I said, there is evidence in terms of the press releases. And maybe Mr. Kurma, you said nobody read the press releases there. There have been over 2, 3, 4, 5 press releases where we asked the APC to be accountable and make sure that they do the right thing. I'll give an example. When these elections irregularity happened, when the elections were stolen from the people, we asked them to face the government. Also, we have written, not me, I wouldn't say because I'm representing the organization as Director General of SLAM, but I have a team of my able people. We have written to the leader of the opposition, Honorable Abu Kagbo, if they remain at this program, or maybe we'll later on. We have written to him asking for accountability, to hold the government to accountability, to ask them to walk out of parliament or invite the ECSL to parliament to hold him to account for not releasing the result. Failing to do so, let them walk out of parliament. We have written to
President. Dr. Fullah.
You asked me to cite examples. Let me finish my example.
Fullah, that does not mean that I cannot interject. I'm conducting the shows with all due respect. I'll give you enough time to talk, and you will talk. But I can't allow you to be saying something, that I feel strongly about and don't challenge you. It's not a lecture. Thank you. So, just for begin with, like I said from the beginning of the program, I do my background a lot. And these are all your papers, reviews and statements that you produce, which I'm going to be challenging you on. I'm not just sitting here.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm not just sitting. No, the point I'm trying to make, sir, is that I'm not just out of thin air and plucking issues. Okay? So my point here is, I was asking you about specific criticism of the other side. I'm not asking what you ask the other side to do. There's a technical difference here. So if you will address that, not asking the opposition, we're asking you to go to parliament and ask. No. What are you critical about them? There's a huge difference, sir. That's my point. You can go ahead.
Then, if you check the correspondence, maybe you to do your homework properly. If you check those letters we've written to them, we equally ask them about accountability. We equally ask them about good governance. We equally ask them about transparency. We equally ask them about to put the interests of the people first. We did. They are in all our correspondence. I'm glad you have all of those, correspondences. They are there. We even went to the extent we wrote to the former president, Ernest Bai Koroma, for him to intercede, for him to intervene, to make sure that there is peace in the country, because this is a personality who represents the country in various countries in the world where it held elections and peace process, which he succeeded. We ask him for accountability as well. We ask him to make sure that he takes the stage as a statesman to make sure, we bring peace and salvation and democracy in our country. We have written to him, and we know SLAM, particularly myself and other people, really signed all of these letters. Most of them, even the APC people, are not happy with us because they think we are challenging them. So to say that we are only challenging or criticizing the SLPP, that is not true. So I would invite people to go on our website, go read those letters, those publications, or If he personally wants, gets them, I can send them back to you. We have written to the APC executive, in particular the chairman of the party, Minkalu, questioning his capability of leading the party and not trying to make sure they account for the party in interest, but also the citizens' them interest. We also write to them most recently, particularly this drug lord barons parading the streets of our country, and the opposition is there saying nothing. And don't get me wrong, having a drug baron in our country, sitting there, roaming the country, bedfellowing with the current government, and the opposition is not doing nothing. We writing to them, asking them to account. Don't tell me that's not criticism, because drug is absolutely very important. Use of drugs in Sierra Leone, everywhere it's in the country, is absolutely an anathema. It's unacceptable. And we go agree with me, say, there are a lot of youths that we can to them. We don't die, some of them don't get mental health issues. They need rehabilitation. They need well-being. They need to be taken care of. We have cautioned the opposition to make sure they hold the government to account, because none of them have done so. So that is also being critical to the opposition, so that, because this is the citizens' interest. Don't forget, SLAM's vision, SLAM's motive, SLAM's aim and objective is the citizens' interest and uphold human rights. If the opposition and the current government and even the civil society groups, they are silent. They are not there to criticize the government on the wrongs they are doing or make we promote and help the people. We should hold them to account, and we have done so. We have written to all of them, and we have been very critical of their stance as opposition, that I even describe them as being inept.
Okay, I'm just hearing the word inept now, and then yes, certainly I will agree. What I was trying to identify, even in all what you said, is we have asked the opposition, as opposed to when it comes to the government in power, we've identified where and how and what they've done wrong. And this is where we are holding them into account. So asking, telling, identifying things that are wrong, for me, by any stretch of the English language, there are technical differences about. I do agree with you, and I believe that we should and must make progress, Dr. Fullah. And
Thank you. Because it's good to make progress, because I was going to actually disagree with you, because the same principle applies both to the opposition and the current government. We have asked them, we have identified areas for them to take action, including the ex-president, who profile solutions to help the country. Anything we ask for, we profile, so even to this government, we profile solutions.
Doc, I am open to be informed on these issues, and I'm not having doubts. What I am talking about here is taking you for your own words, because I was trying to draw a contrast between two sides, as opposed to an independent and objective organization whose business is standing up for the Sierra Leonean
citizens' interest.
Absolutely. So my business here is to hold people who are advocates on behalf, or in behalf, the Americans will say, of the Sierra Leonean people. But I noticed that one side, and rightfully so, I don't have a problem with that, all the ills and efforts by an organization such as the SLPP, who are in governance, are being identified microscopically, sir, if I will say. All their faults are well detailed. Congratulations on that. The broader point I was trying to make, Dr. Fullah, but you've just made a couple of submissions, which shows, and I wasn't privy to that you've called them inept.
Yes.
But when we were having the discussion, sir, it was more like we have asked, in inverted commas, we have asked the opposition.
I've not only called the opposition inept, I've used incompetence, I've used that they are not fit for purpose. The same principles applied, same adjectives that have been applied to the SLP.
Fair enough, though. Fair enough. I would say fair enough. Yeah. And this is good, that we do challenge these premises, so that we get the guest, here to come out fully, And some things that potentially could have been left out will now come out. And I do appreciate this because this is now clear for our audience that SLAM, in my opinion, and I'm sure the judgment of those listening will be equally open. We got further questions, Dr. Fullah, and that would be on petition statements. And I was just waving sheaf of papers, to you earlier. And I think I went to your website. I was able to see that SLAM, as young as they are, they've released, I think now about 7 statements now when I don't release.
No, they are more than that.
They are more than that, but I was able to see 7. So some of them are even repetitive, not repetitive, but around the same period. And with your friend, in the month of August, you were very active. The organization was very active in terms of petitions because there are 3 or 4 around the MCC, the withholding of these grant and funds and what have you. And these are things I want to talk to you about. There's also the issue, before we go to the funds, on an open letter written to Donald Trump. Sir, if you can tell the audience, or tell me, please, if you will, when we talk about open letter, the writing of open letters, within the scope of this or context of this conversation, what did that exactly mean, Dr. Fullah?
Well, it's simple. Open letter and open letter. We wrote to President Trump. We also make sure the public are aware of that this is the work we do to prove to them that SLAM is their interest. As I initially said, the purpose of SLAM is not about SLPP or APC or PDP or any other party. We are non-partisan. It's the citizens' interest. So any letter, any release, any letter we write, even ex-President Nkrumah in letter, we do an open letter to make it public to the people to see what we are doing, the work we are doing, and how far we go to represent them and advocate on their behalf.
Yes, very fair enough, Dr. Fullah. That's keeping the people informed and knowing exactly what in XYZ they do. In this case, you had a letter to Donald Trump. And you will get forgive me on this. What was the means, for get the letter to Donald Trump? Was it just the open means, or were there lobbyists or advocates?
Sorry, can I just cut you there? That's classified. Sorry.
You mean you wrote an open letter? Let me just finish my point.
Yes.
The organization wrote an open letter which is open to the public that we've written to Donald Trump. But the means on how the letter gets to Donald Trump, if it does, is private. Correct?
Yes, because of security reasons.
Okay.
But
we'll have to respect.
But if you look at the letter, the public offices of the United States were copied into it, like the Secretary of State. They are copied to it. But how it gets to Donald Trump, for security reasons, sorry, it's classified. And I'm not at liberty to say. And you have to respect that.
That's fine, sir. And before I get to my next question, because I was going to talk about like all these copies, CCs, to XYZ. I mean, there is this host of, copies, when these letters are made. Is it just for fancy? If you will allow me for use that word, we cannot believe, say that's the reason behind. But here they are. I mean, when you the CC copy, letters of this kind of magnitude, to other people. Now, people of relevance, and I know they try to dismiss them, but they will have a say or something for due with the immediate effect, or maybe the later on effect. Like you see a copy to the Liberian President Boakai. Which influence does Dr. Boakai has on Sierra Leone or Malabio or whatever? Can you say, please? Will you say,
This, as I said to you, SLAM, they work with stakeholders, both local and international. Yeah. And you'll be happy. I'm pleased to let you know that most of these organizations do acknowledge receipts. And in particular, I will name this one because it's a public opinion. Sorry, it's in the public interest. Like the British High Commission. Each time we write to them, then they acknowledge receipt. And even the American embassy, they do acknowledge. It's not about fancy. It's about representing, making proper representation to the people. And I will, until we come to the ICC, to the MCC, the part played by SLAM for making sure that money is released is enormous. We're not going to say that we make the money no come. But our part, our letters, our physical representation, there has been even protests at the UN. There has been even representation to the House of Senate, the House of Representatives in America. Well, I won't talk about here. Here, I myself have met some of the MPs like Nicole, who made representation. So it's not about fancy. We also make representation and make sure that our voices are heard and actions are taken, and there is evidence to prove it. Like Nicole, in fact, we did it covertly, Mr. Krumah. The following day, Nicole tweeted it. That was why we published it, because we just wanted to keep it quiet so that people had no one for show off. But he tweeted straight away. This is crystal clear. That's not about fancy. We are making representation and we are advocating the citizens' interest in all of those quarters. There are a lot of acknowledgements we get from various, not almost all of them, but most of them, they acknowledge we work and they really they see SLAM as a credible, reputable organization to deal with.
So let's talk about credible and reputable, just for quote you words, them SLAM as an organization for work with. Because when it comes to advocacy, NGOs, and people's movement and representation, we see, especially in we country, that every cycle of an election, your different organizations, kind of popped up. But then it include almost, like the same people. It's a kind of revolving door, if you know what I mean. Yeah. SLAM might be completely different, but on behalf of the Sierra Leonean people, I would just like to ask a few questions. Who are those in SLAM? Is it a cut across, or is it just the same of the same? And
okay,
you know where I'm going, sir.
Well, I know. Thank you. That's a fair question. It's a legitimate question. Who is SLAM? SLAM. I'm at the head of the organization as the Director General of SLAM. Haven't had a lot of civil rights experiences championing human rights with other organizations, but SLAM constitute a host of people, both professionals, the grassroots, middle class, everybody, and also SLAM has membership of nearly 200. And those membership, they come from about 8 to 10 countries. The UK, America, Netherlands, Norway, Australia, Finland, which other country again? A host of countries, nearly 8 to 10 countries there where SLAM get membership from. And these members, we get medical doctors, we get lawyers, we get engineers, we get the ordinary people, the carpenters even, skilled people, we get nurses, we get all people from various professions where come from SLAM. And we tap their skills and profession and experiences for help the country. And all of these people, let me say this to you, Mr. Krumah, and my people and audience, they are very passionate about helping Sierra Leone. All of these people, they are comfortable in their positions, comfortable in their professions, comfortable in their vocations. All they want is to make sure Sierra Leone becomes a free country whereby the youth are empowered, whereby we get democracy, but more significantly, there is social justice and equity amongst everybody, every Sierra Leonean.
Okay, Dr. Fullah. I got a specific question for you, but before I go there, I just want to do a follow-up on this. So you can name professionals, accountants, aerospace engineers, doctors, and you name it, high-profile people. But it's about their affiliation. It's about who they affiliate with. What is their political persuasion? They may have none. But let's speak to you now, Dr. Fullah, if you don't mind, with all due respect. Mm-hmm. You have got a history of political connections. Am I correct, sir?
Well, human beings are political animals.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
So yes.
This is the problem when Dr. Fullah puts on his lawyer hat. It's going to be a lawyer answer.
Well, I'm just being factual, Mr. Nkrumah.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. But my question I was going to say, as much as you have advocated, for SLAM being this objective organization, and I know the intent is there. I've read, the objectives and the aims and etc. And it's so relevant as to current day Sierra Leone. But when you look at the constitution of the membership, especially the head, and I'm speaking directly to you now because you're on the platform and I'm engaging you.
Yeah.
Don't you see why people will have questions? Or would you resonate with people who may have questions of should I use the word integrity, uprightness, objectivity, and we can go on and on?
Yeah.
Does it make sense, sir?
Absolutely. Well, you can't stop people questioning you in terms of your work or what you're doing. Even if you are the saint, even if you are the most honest person, even Jesus Christ and Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they have enemies. They have people who oppose them. And a good leader should be somebody who listens and accepts criticisms. So I have no problem people questioning me about anything so far. What I intend to do, I will not be distracted. My only appeal to people, just like you did, please, if you question or you're in doubt of anything with regards to SLAM or my personal self, come to me. Don't talk on my back, because for a human being, for you to be sincere and if you're fair to the person religiously, it is not good for you to backbite or gossip somebody. If you have anything against that person, confront the person. So I'm not averse to criticisms. Since the time I enter as a trade union organization, I was vice president of the Salon Teachers Union for over 10 years before I came to do my master's, then later on got scholarship to do my PhD. So from the time I was young, I've been open to criticisms, and I have been able to make sure that people get the right story, because there are a lot of misconceptions. And people pass on third stories. If me can whisper in your ears, say, oh, that this is so Prince Nkrumah say, if I say something which about you, by the time you go to the third or the fourth or the fifth person, it may have been misconstrued. So the best bet is to confront you. So I'm not averse to that, but my role as a community champion is to educate, to listen, and also to make sure to be patient, because that's constitutes a leader. If not that, you cannot be a leader of an organization or any institution so far. You'll be criticized. If you say they already criticize you, then don't lead. If you go to water, you say no, when the water touch you, then don't go there. So I'm not averse to it, but I will maintain my integrity, I will maintain my position, and I will make sure I do the right thing for the nation, because for me, the interest of the country is paramount. Salon comes first.
Absolutely. I can't agree with you more, sir. Having said that, I just want to ask you this because you're very critical, and I think somebody expressed that in the chat room, so I want to express the same sentiment in the form of a question. You're very critical of what transpired during the last election. And up to this day, this is what you are championing, free speech, correct, representation of the minds of the people, and how do you call it, transparency and responsibility,
accountability,
accountability, and so forth and so on, sir. I asked you a few questions earlier on, for try to drill into the real issues of waiting actually transpire in the position where you stand, in terms of not just only being critical about government, which you answer very well. So my question to you, Dr. Fullah, is what do you suppose should have happened, as they talk about in opposition parlance now, after the elections, which they never agreed with? Or for being really direct, Dr. Fullah, do you think APC made an error by not going to court? You're a legal-minded man. Would you have advised? Did you advise? Do you have regrets that they never went to court?
Yes, you're right. I'm a legal luminary. but I never regretted. I never regretted.
And I think why.
Yes. Well, I think in my submission in this program, I did say the judiciary is not to be trusted. One, the APC get right. I know say other people go contest that. That's their opinion. That's fine. But in my view, the APC took the right decision not to go to court. How can you go to court when the institutions, in particular, the three organs of government, the judiciary, the executive, and the legislative, have been captured by the illegitimate government, using drug money to buy them off? And many cases, they take them to court and thrown out. And I'll give an example. Even Charles Maga, a very reputable lawyer, took the issue to court. And even Mara, Senge Mara, a young, brilliant, upcoming lawyer, took this issue to court. It was thrown out of court. So it was a good thing that APC did not go to court. If they had gone to court and the case was thrown out of court, they would have legitimized MAADA bill. They would have legitimized MAADA bill. So there is no way with a corrupt judiciary captured by the illegitimate president that case would have had its merit or would have been successful. It would have been thrown out of court. But more significantly, where was the evidence, or where were the evidence? Where were they? Because legally, when ECSL published result, it gets 7 days for Gazettam. Anybody can challenge me on that. But those elections were not gazetted. So tell me, as a lawyer, if I went to court, the judge asked me, why is the evidence? Who's going to put the evidence? For adduce to it, for attest to it, for subscribe to it, for concord to that, for acquiesce them? Where would I get it?
So it sound more, Dr. Fullah, you go continue. You say a couple of things quickly where I just want to address to, but if you can just kindly hold your thought there for let you continue. Because even though I'm asking you the questions, I want to fundamentally disagree with you, and even though you are the lawyer in this case. So, I want to begin with the last thing where you just say that yes, it is true that 7 days after the elections, it has to be gazetted. So if you go contest anything, it will come from that background. That's what you're going to contest. But is it not true?
It's not background. No, it's not background. You have to have the evidence. Use the right word. Have to have the evidence.
Well, earlier on, I've told the audience, including you, that when it comes to terms of legal jargons, I use it differently because I am not a lawyer, but it is understood. And I may try for lecture me on them points and day, but I don't have to use the exact phraseology or technical terminology, legally speaking. But I thank God that you understand me, sir.
Proceed.
The idea that something wasn't done right in itself constitutes a complaint. Will we agree on that?
As I said to you, we'll complain to an institution where corrupt, where say.
No. We go come to that, Dr. Fullah. Yes, because that's more assertion than the way you make. But you then went on to say that 7 days after it should be gazetted, and if you get issues with what is gazetted, now the basis than the way you will form your complaint on.
Yes.
So I get you clearly, sir. But the idea that I wasn't gazetted, and this is what I'm asking you. I'm being technical. I'm wearing my cap as well.
Yeah.
The idea that it's not being gazetted, Dr. Fullah, it means you also have a complaint, and you can base your complaint on that basis, on why is it not being gazetted when the Constitution asks that 7 days after, it should be gazetted. That's a complaint, isn't it, sir?
And that is where we also had a go with the current APC defunct inept executive, because they should have done that.
Yeah,
they should have done that. I already said that. We held them to account. We wrote to them.
Yeah, I agree. But Dr. Fullah,
I'm agreeing with you that.
Yeah, for hold your foot to the fire, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, for hold your foot to the fire. Before I come to this latter part where you just mentioned, from the beginning part of this last statement where you make, you say you agree with the APC for not going to court, for not taking the matter to court, because why? The court could no longer be trusted. The judiciary had been hijacked. A lot of people go agree with this, but the same way I make the last case where you agree with me on, would it not have been prudent, Dr. Fullah, that yes, the judiciary had been hijacked, But then I still take me case to the court for go challenge them there and let them tell me, say, indeed, that I got no case. Then I equally get a case where they take now for care go outside. But other than that, Dr. Fullah, if I not look for a reprieve within my own judiciary, which is compromised, I agree. Where else do I go to look for reprieve? And when I go look for this reprieve other place, what do I take to them? Did I challenge the courts? Did I take my case and it was dismissed? Or are they go on presumption? Come on now, Dr. Fullah. Come on.
Yeah, listen, Mr. Kuruma, I think you are playing the devil's advocate here.
Exactly, I agree.
You're playing the devil's advocate here. You know, we all know what is the current situation. Let me give you an example, and I'll not go without disclosing any confidentiality here. Yeah. We go represent people then, in that country, and give you a practical example, what is happening in that country. They hold some picking them where the organization represent. And we go bail them through one lawyer. When the lawyer went to see this particular judge or magistrate, do you know what she or she said?
No.
He said, "Oh, Pastor will give me £1,000 for go holiday. I get for go holiday before when I give me even the bail. On top of the bail, when I give me £1,000 first, sorry, $1,000. That just demonstrates how corrupt a system is. And thank God, that particular lawyer stood his ground and said, I am not going to do that. Instead, I will take this to the highest pillar. And we did succeed. This is just an example I'm giving you. So I don't even want to talk about, because we don't take care of the judiciary. No. The issue is the judiciary is corrupt. It needs to be reformed. It needs to be restructured.
Absolutely agree. There's no doubt about it. The judiciary needs to be structured. It is corrupt. No one, I believe, will doubt that it is corrupt. It has been captured. It had been captured. It is captured, and it's even getting worse, Dr. Fullah. I agree with you totally, sir.
Which were recognized by both the two parties, the APC and the SLPP, and you have 4 dissenting recommendations, where what we call convergence recommendations, whereby the APC say, out of these 80 recommendations, we have 4 recommendations. We not agree with you, say we want the elections to be produced. So through the tripartite is a new way to resolve this matter if the government is sincere enough to bring sanity, peace, tranquility in the country. They should implement all of the 84 resolutions. So that's a new way for help bring resolve peace in that country. But that has not happened. And that is why we not sit down until it happens. And it will happen by God in power, trust me.
Yeah, I need to make progress because I get a few things there for ask you, but this is quite an interesting conversation that we're having. And the level of confidence, you know, is astounding that we will not rest until it happens. And
yes.
I've been want to say, Dr. Fullah, but I'm almost tempted for say what the answer will be. But it's like there's 2 and 2.5 years gone. And I'm sure philosophically you will respond to that.
It doesn't matter the length of time.
Yeah.
It makes no difference. What's important are the outcome. The end justifies the means.
The end justifies the means. And
yes.
Does that mean 2028? Because that would be the calendar year. It could be before, but what about 2028? Would that be the end justify the means?
That's a very interesting question. Anybody will think about 2028, then it means that person has no vision, no ambition, no interest for the people of Sierra Leone. You cannot talk about 2028 when the wrongs of 2023 have not been resolved. It's far-fetched. It's like you are predicting the future. You don't even know what is coming tomorrow. Why are you talking about 2028 when 2023 issues have not been resolved? The wrongs of 2023 elections have not been resolved. You talk about 2028 when we have outstanding, pending, immediate priorities for the country. We have drugs laws running the country. We have misaccountability. We have non-transparency. People are suffering. There is cost of living. People are dying. You don't resolve those problems. You don't get democracy, electoral. You talk about 2028. That is a farce. That is a farce. That is absolutely an anathema. We cannot even talk about anybody who will talk about 2028. Then he's got something coming. I don't even want to talk about 2028 because
it sounds almost like a threat, Dr. Fullah.
No, it's true. It's true. No, it's true because if you talk about 2028, when the people in the diner treat, you talk about them. The drugs and the Rome and the country, you talk about them. And they kill the people, you talk about it. You go talk about, okay, I get a bird in my hand. I have this one bird in my hand. Oh, I will let you to go and go for the 2 birds in the bush.
Yeah, but Dr. Fullah.
Crazy.
Yeah, but Dr. Fullah, on that basis, because I'm not the one dwell on that, but on that basis, because you seem very passionate about them. Suddenly, I see your body language has completely changed, which means that you are really into this, which I appreciate because yes, there has to be an issue of justice, fair play, freedom, and honesty. And I think that is something we're very core to the organization which you had slam. But again, as I be one make headway, let's just dwell on this little bit. Were there not attempts made at resolving what happened 2023? Personally, I believe it was a travesty. Okay? It was a travesty. The Sierra Leonean people were denied. They were denied. I have no doubts about that. It's not my personal opinion. Like I say, I come to the table based on empirical evidence. If we look at election observers, if we look at the EU statement on the election stated in at the website, the State Department of the United States of America, Great Britain, the Carter Center, and many, many more, the evidence is just glaring. But at some place, at some point, at some time, I may not like it, but there has to be a compromise because the country has to move forward. Yes, it's a difficult path, to meander through, but yes, it has to. We can go back to the great United States of America, George Bush, Al Gore. I remember somebody who I respect so well, but they make an analysis on the basis of what happened then in that election. And they got it so far-fetched wrong and then try for contrast time with Winyon. In the end, they did compromise, even though George Bush was wrong. So we can go on for hold on to, but we have to find a way moving forward. And this leads me to asking you, Dr. Fullah, with these harsh words about government, which are necessary, but to a certain degree, in my opinion, does it help, or do you just criticize? Do you try to engage government? Have you tried to engage government, or are you just on the criticism, your thing, sir?
That is, I like that. One of the best questions you asked me today, Mr. Kurma. We not only write government. We don't engage government. To start with, they've never acknowledged our letters. Unlike the UN, unlike High Commission, unlike MPs, unlike other stakeholders, the government of Selo never. We've written to the president, we've written to the chief minister, we've written to most of the parastatals. They've never acknowledged. So how can you engage an institution when that very person do not even countenance or acknowledge your letters? We've tried our level best. But let me say this. You talk about moving forward. You can't move forward and have what we call statute. Listen to this. Statute of limitation. There is no statute of limitation on the truth. There is no statute of limitation on the truth. Until the truth of the 2023 elections, June 24, 2023 elections, the truth is said and is brought to light and the wrongs are written, there is no way we can move forward in that country.
Yeah, but sometimes, Dr. Fullah, with these issues, I mean, you are absolutely right. And in the statements before, the statement after, there are questions about it, sir. The truth has to be told. Sometimes the truth can be inconvenient. But saying that the only way we move forward is only after what some of us aspire to see to happens, then the country is not going to move forward. And historically speaking, there have been issues around the globe. I just mentioned Al Gore and George Bush's elections in the United States, in which Al Gore was wronged. They wronged him. George Bush, his brother Jeb from Florida, who was the governor at the time, tampered with elections to favor his brother. In the end, his brother won. Al Gore went to the courts. And for the sake of unity, to keep these United States of America together, Dr. Fullah, there was a compromise. But you are saying, until it happens the way how you see it, your organization,
no, I see it.
How your organization sees it. I'm not trying to make it. I'm not trying to make it personal.
I see it. I see it. I want to correct you. I see it.
Doc, we are going to make it personal, sir.
But yes, but that's why I want to correct you. Sorry, sir. Let me interject there. Not how
please do.
Not how I see. That is why I said this discussion is evidence-based, is factual, and as you said, there is empirical evidence. We have the tripartite. We have 84 recommendations. What happened to the 84 recommendations? And that is why we are saying until they are implemented, until it is followed to the letter, there is no way we're going to let it go. We are setting, Mr. Kuma, we are setting. I'm sorry. No, let me finish it. I have to finish. We are setting a very bad precedent in that country. We are setting a bad precedent in that country that we have to stop. Anybody talking about compromise without saying the truth, then you are putting the country in a big, bad precedent. And
what is the truth? What is the truth?
The truth is those 84 recommendations, the elections that were stolen, truth has to come. ECSL should
What is the 84 recommendations?
Mr. Koroma, ECSL has to produce results, and we have all intelligence evidence that they've destroyed the data. That is absolutely, it's a crime.
So that's the question I was going, Mr. Dr.
It is a crime. Are you saying we're going to move forward with that? That is unacceptable. That's unacceptable. We should not combat these people on crimes. That's a crime. It constitutes a crime, Mr. Koroma.
Doc, let me say this, sir. There are many contradictions here. You talk about the 84 recommendations, and from what I'm understanding you saying, and what most likely a lot of the viewing public will be understanding you saying, until those 84 recommendations are implemented, we are moving nowhere. And I find that fundamentally flawed, sir. Because
in what context? In what context?
That's what I'm just about to lay waste on the floor for everyone to hear, including yourself. These recommendations, the world over, and that includes us, does not have to happen within this period, this term, because that's what you are. Let me just finish.
Then you two are making a fundamental flaw here.
Okay, Doc. That's your
perspective, and I would challenge you on that.
Doc, yeah, you can challenge me on that, Sabo, and I agree. That's my perspective, but it's a perspective that is empirically backed. 84 recommendations.
No,
84 recommendations.
No,
yeah, just 30 seconds. Just 30 seconds. I'll wrap up and give you the floor. You are my guest. I have to be respectful of you. 84 recommendations. What you want that over this period that is left between now and 2028, or possibly even this 2025, those 84 recommendations has to be implemented. There is nowhere in the world, in the history of the world, politically, socially, and economically, that this has been achieved. It's impossible, practically impossible. Okay. Yes, that's point number one, Doc. Secondly, you talk about like the disaggregated list. This is one of your points that you are alluding to. Yeah. There is an obligation, Dr. Fullah. There's an obligation, a moral obligation. And you as a legal luminary know that there's a difference between a moral obligation and a legal obligation. A government, a person can decide that I don't want to be moral. I decide this is the way I'm going to do it, as opposed to a legal obligation in which you are compounded by the law, you are forced by the law to act within the remit of the law. That's a huge difference, Dr. Fullah. Have you got a different opinion on that, sir?
Of course. You've just, all what you said is absolutely untruthful. And I'm shocked you are saying this.
I wonder why is it, sir?
I just said to you, we are not only setting a bad precedent, this is going to affect us generations yet unborn. The ECSL has a legal, forget about moral, it's a morality in law, forget about it.
No, but that's part in your document. You've done your part. Let me just. Dr. Fullah, I control. Dr. Fullah, please. I have all due respect for you, and you will do all the talking.
But when
Dr. Fullah, 1 minute, sir. Let's not spoil such a good conversation. You will still talk. You will still debunk what you want to debunk. But just for the audience, in your documents, in terms of the ECSL disaggregated list, it is a moral obligation, not a legal obligation. Shall we just set that straight? Is that correct?
No. It's both moral and both moral and legal obligation. Is there? Is the provision is there in the Constitution? They have a legal obligation to publish this result, and I could take you back to Krishna.
Disaggregated.
Krishna published. You kept interrupting me when you asked me to talk. That you interrupted me. Krishna published her own result. Her own results were published, and there is evidence to prove that if you go there now, you can still find them, unless they have been brought down by the so-called corrupt ECSL. And this is what I am saying. We have people pampering, entertaining these people, say, let's move on. Move on when you know you've admitted the fact that these people have wronged the people. Their rights have been taken away. The elections were brazenly stolen by corrupt people, and they bring in drug barons to kill people, parade the country, and you're saying these people, they should continue in power. I agree with you the aspect of not able to implement all the 84 recommendations. But the June 24 elections, 2023, those wrongs have to be corrected. Without correcting those wrongs, we cannot move on. I rest my case.
I think we have an agreement that they have to be corrected. But you are using that as a litmus.
Must be corrected. I use a strong, but they must be corrected. Must be corrected. Shall be corrected.
Well, I am agreeing with you, but you're not going to be putting words in my mouth, because I will say it as I see it. But yes,
you've laid your premise. I'm laying my own premise as well.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Dr. Fullah. I mean, let's keep it civil. I agree with you. I am one of the proponents for honesty, integrity, and I have said it many a times, much to the chagrin and dislike of people who normally will be in my circle. But when it comes to my country, it's about country first. And I'm on record, many of my productions, by saying that the 2020, I've just said it on this very platform that we are speaking now, that the 2023 elections have huge question marks. I referred you to the EU website, the United Kingdom website, the Carter Center, Irish Aid. I've mentioned all of these, which means that I agree with you that the elections were not free and fair. And I've made this known many a times. What I think there is a disagreement is there are people who intend, and you have just spelled this out, that until, and remember that time is going, But that does not mean, Dr. Fullah, that we don't need to have justice. We don't need to get justice. But we're holding this now as a mantra. And it seems like we will be subscribing to a certain identity that until this is done, because we can see it.
Because that is fairness. That is fairness. Well, of course. Because that is fairness. That is justice. And you just talk about justice. I'm saying you are playing the devil's advocate. You talk about, okay, you agree with the elections. They are wrong. Oh, therefore, let's move on. That is absolutely unacceptable.
No, Dr. Fullah.
That's what it implies to me. That's what it implies to me.
That's the implication, but you simplify it. But because I can see what you want to do is to hijack the process and say, until we have something which is practically impossible.
Can I just correct you there? I've just corrected you.
Yeah,
I agree with you. You cannot implement the 84 recommendations in totality.
Thank you very much,
all of a sudden. I think I've already said that. I said must. The June 24, 2023 elections must. Those issues, those wrongs have to be written before we move forward. There is no compromise about.
But Dr. Fullah,
that one we cannot compromise.
And there lies the problem, sir, because the precondition that you are setting in any bargaining table, the preconditions that you are setting are practically impossible. Yes,
they are not
it
impossible.
Is true.
No,
yes,
they are not impossible.
Impossible in the time frame.
No, they are not impossible, Mr. Kruma. They are not impossible. Sorry, they are not impossible.
Okay, Doc.
Because the truth is the truth, so that's not impossible. It is practical and it is possible. And by God's power, we shall overcome.
By God's power, we shall overcome. I wonder who are the we. I thought we all constituted the people, but we now, it sounds like a section of people. But we will see that.
Islam, because Islam is in the interest of the people. That's why I use the word Islam. It's not me. It's Islam. We shall overcome. And I'm still correct. I'm using the plural Islam. We shall overcome.
Yeah. But Doc, I just said, I wonder who we the people, because I consider myself to be as part of we the people. Yes, we have a difference here, but then hopefully, yes, we shall overcome. But there are practical things that need to be done. And there's a time frame in all of this. And I believe even Islam must have set a goal. It's not open-ended. That's the point I'm making. Whilst it is wrong, but everything is, there is a compromise. There is time to sit on the table. And this even happened. They went to a conference. They sat down and tried to iron things out. And part of the things you've said here, in terms of the recommendations made, it came out of the disagreements that they had. Electoral justice also means that the institutions need to be healed. They need to be transformed. They need to be independent and accountable.
And complaints and dispute must be resolved. And just find it here.
Yeah, that's correct, Doc. But you are putting that now as a precondition
that they have to be resolved.
Yes.
You just said it's over nearly 2 years. So why are we still, the government is still reluctant, is recalcitrant, is stubborn, is adamant not to implement, not to go further and implement some of the recommendations in the tripartite? It's about moving forward. What about
I don't know, but you still
what practical actions have they taken to resolve this matter? All what we see, bringing drug lords, bringing virus, bringing people to harm our youth in the country. Nobody is talking about it. It's like people are complacent.
Nobody is
absolutely unacceptable.
Nobody is talking about it. I wonder how true is that, Doc? That's an understatement.
Doc. The APC is not an understatement. We've written to the APC party. We asked them to hold the government to account. We've written to civil societies. We've written to the government. Nobody is acknowledging us. So nobody wants to discuss it.
Doc, it's not the Sierra Leone opposition does not only constitute of the APC, sir.
Did you hear what I say? No, but did you hear what I say? I said civil society. Maybe you have not been listening. I said we've written to stakeholders, to the APC, to even the government. Nobody is responding. It's acknowledging.
But the underlying statement of yours is nobody is responding. That's what I'm saying. It does not only constitute the All People's Congress. It also involves all the other parties that you've mentioned. Yeah, but
they have not responded. So I'm still correct. They have not responded.
Well, I'm not.
They are not taking action. They are not taking actions.
Doc, you are getting a little bit testy, sir. Let's
this is because about my country. We're talking about people here. Mr. Kruma,
did you hear my country? Did you hear my country? Am I foreign?
It is sad.
Doc, am I foreign? Doc, am I foreign?
It is sad for us to even acquiesce with the happenings of this government and the opposition, colluding together, putting our people into misery. It is absolutely unacceptable.
Anyway, Doc, I'm sure I'm not foreign. And when I open up this program, that was my opening monologue, on my patriotism and what I say, how I attach value to words. So thank you very much. Doc, on the issue of drug, which you've just spoken about, in bits and drabs, we haven't, really dwelled into it. Now is the opportunity for us to talk about it, on the effect it's having on the country. What is, why is it happening? Is it on a level that it cannot be handled? Are government officials involved? Is it at the hierarchy of government? What's your organization doing? What have they done to help? Because this is not new, by the way. There was a container in which we heard all what we heard of when I think it was Fullah, who was the chief of police then. Dr. Sylvia Blinden made a lot of statements around that thing, exposed a lot of things about it. But in the end, it turned out to be a container full of chicken after playing with the press.
That's what they claim.
Yes, that's what they claim. Many thanks for that. And going forward, we also see the rise of Kush in the country, in which our young people have become so involved, the flower of the country, the future of the country. And now we hear in this high-profile case regarding government officials in close proximity to the president, the office of the vice president, on ambassadorial level, the ambassador to Guinea under detention. And God knows, why will they detain him if he was not in the car in which the evidence was discovered? What's your position on all of this, Doc?
Well, I think we can have a compromise there. You said it all. You've just taken words from my mouth. But the point here I'm saying, Mr. Kroma, if it had been in the West, the president would have resigned. If it had been in the West, you can attest to it. If it had been in the West, that is why I am upset, seriously. If it had been in the West, this president, illegitimate, would have resigned. Because the civil society, the opposition, all stakeholders in the country will mobilize, will come together and pressure the government to leave power and allow a legitimate government to come in so they can stop all of this. Asking us what we have done, we have done a lot, Mr. Kroma. Our papers can attest to it. We've written to the president, we've written to the chief minister, we asked them to resign, we've asked the president to resign, and the chief minister and the vice president, the letters are there. And if they fail to resign, we gave them a timeline. We've written to the opposition leader, and including the MPs, SLPP and APC, to step in, and you know what I mean, to impeach this president. We have taken action. But tell me if anyone, yes.
Did you say impeach? Did you say impeach, Doc?
We asked the MPs, not we impeaching him. We said if he don't resign, we drew the attention of the MPs, both SLPP and APC, to impeach him.
Yeah, but doctor.
I'm coming. As I said to you, if it had been in this country, he should have resigned a long time ago. And this is the only, Mr. Kroma, I am very passionate about this. We get picking them. We have children. We get picking them, Mr. Kroma. If we don't get picking them, people picking. Mr. Kroma, you as head of state, this is the only head of state who is in that country. You have all the resources at your disposal. They spend money, fitty fatter. What really goes into your head to bring in to go and sleep with a drug baron? Really? Let's be factual here. What really? The evidence you just adduce about the ambassador, you cannot say it enough.
Yeah.
There's a lot of evidences to prove this. But what our people, the civil society is doing, what are the MPs doing? What is the opposition doing? Whilst we continue to go down the drain, whilst we picking them, they get mental health issues. In the final say, I'll give an example. In Waterloo, one bobo, na journalist, like how you and you party there, so you not journalist, I not journalist. Then call him for interview. You know what happened? The story as it was alleged. Because you don't call him for the interview, he go kill him, but he put him back. You might have heard of that story. Where are we heading to?
Yes, I have, sir. And again, here's my point.
This is sad.
We do agree on these things. I'm equally passionate, and like I say again, I don't need to belabor myself on this issue here, now, and then, because the record speaks. There are dozens of videos in which I've expressed these things the way you talk about, and I appreciate the fact that you're doing so. My problem, Dr. Fullah, is, I'm a realist. I'm a practical person. So when you say we've asked, the government of Salone, for resign if they don't,
Yes.
which is a laudable step, and thing for do, with a call on the parliament for impeachment. Are you serious?
Yes,
and the reason
serious.
why I ask you, Dr. Fullah, whether you are serious, because you will understand the parliament in terms of corrupt practices. You are a man in the know. So when you call on the parliament, which is equally compromised, you cannot be serious.
I'm serious. I'm serious, Mr. Kurma. I understand where you are coming from. You see, we this is what we call archives. Yeah, we archive everything we do. You understand? The only institution, the only body we get the right by the constitution for impeach the president of parliament. What else would we ask? We cannot impeach him, even if we write 1 million times. We don't get that right. It is wrong. So that is why it is incumbent. It is incumbent upon them to do the right thing. When they don't do so, it is there for posterity tomorrow. All of them will be held to account for their actions.
Absolutely. The Sierra Leonean people are taking audit, and the time will come for accountability. I agree with that. In one of your press releases, I think this one goes back to July 10, 2028, and 24 rather. There are a couple of them we ascribe to the MCC funds. And I just want to go straight to that because you did allude to that earlier on. But the organization SLAM, they ask, for put a hold, which is not new. Many organizations, have asked that it's not necessary for release such funds to this current government. I mean, when you make them kind calling owing to the state of affairs where the masses that you are grieving for day in, and these funds, yes, they might go into the wrong hands, but some of it will drift down to the people, drips and drabs. Don't you think that you're putting the people in more of a precarious situation, in a more situation where the poverty level will continue to grow because this is supposed for alleviate them suffering?
Mr. Kurma,
yes,
I empathize. I agree with you, and I do empathize with the situation with our people. But let us be factual here, Mr. Kurma. Allowing that money to be released to this current illegitimate corrupt government, there is no guarantee that this money will trickle down to the poor. There is no guarantee. Where you have corruption at the highest bidder, in fact, the so-called ACC commissioner, he is the most corrupt in that country. There is no guarantee. Accountability is absolutely appalling. It's poor. Corruption is in the high roof. And cost of living is skyrocketing. These people releasing that money is going back into their pockets. So besides that, we have mineral resources, Mr. Kurma, in that country. And this is the thing we say we go to profile. You have to make sure that the budget of the country is properly managed. If we manage the budget of the country, there is no need for even for go borrow or ask for aid or grant. We manage the resources of the country. You work with private enterprises, private organizations there for bringing investment. How can you get investment in that country when such a thing is happening? There is corruption. So that is the reason why we put a stop to it, because releasing the money will not guarantee that that money will trickle down, or it will be used for the purpose for which it is meant for.
Yeah. Also, Dr. Fullah, in one of Una releases, this one is in August as well. Like I said, Una do a lot of press releases on August 8, which is good. Highlights were made on corruption and mismanagement, and this one actually talk about the suspension stroke dismissal of the Auditor General, which has become a high-profile case now, and many people understand as to why. There are also issues around human rights abuses, political repression, stifling of expression, the right of assembly, and so forth and so on. All of this is expressed in this press release or Una release. The question I want to ask, highlighting them alone is not enough. You will know that other people have done so prior to Islam.
Yeah.
So is there any gravitas, any degree of gravitas, or some kind of enforcement mechanism or different way of approach for make sure that this bear fruit?
Yes, we did. As I said to you, we made representation. We are still continuing to make representation to our stakeholders, and we highlight all of these issues. I tell you, the last meeting we had with Nicole, we spent about an hour presenting the case. 8 of us went there. I made the presentation. I laid the case. I made my submission, and my colleagues also supported. And all of this you mentioned about human rights violation, suppression of freedom, using the so-called Criminal Act of 2021, that's all a fact. It's a fact. They use it to muscle people, to muscle journalists, like Howard Hunt. The freedom of censoring freedom of speech. With all that, we laid that to the MPs. We are making inner representations, not only writing, but we go there and talk and lobby and recommend areas where another one for divulge or disclose here, where could help many governments take into account and put measures where these things will be stopped. We are not just sitting down or just writing, but we make representation and we are taking actions.
Thank you very much, Doc. And Fambulem, we come to now from the TNN Media Podcast. We're having a very serious conversation on the state of we country, and with none other than a personality of high repute, Dr. Veenod Fullah. And just a quick one, we had a testy side to the interview, which I found really necessary, because to me, what we were doing was expressing with passion,
about yes, I agree. Absolutely.
About we country coming from a different perspective, disagree for agree. But I almost, and I go on for add, the part of waiting Dr. Veenod been to talk about earlier, because that's what I was challenging him about in terms of objectivity, way close to my heart. Me no want for support an organization or people in the support an organization, and there are questions about integrity, about accountability, and etc. But in a release, like I said, there are many press statement releases from this organization. This is on August 20, and he been allude to that. And I just want to read a quick section. And it says, "It is evident," and I'm quoting now, this is verbatim, "It is evident that the executive leadership of the All People's Congress APC party has been compromised through financial incentives and politically motivated prosecutions." I will repeat that quotation again because it's quite necessary, because there were a little bit of deviation, and I've been one for really lay emphasis on this. Quote, "It is evident that the executive leadership of the All People's Congress APC party has been compromised through financial incentives and politically motivated prosecutions, creating an environment where true opposition is stifled. This situation bears a stark remembrance to authoritarian regimes where dissent is quashed and power is consolidated at the expense of democratic governance." This is from Slam. And
yes, of course.
Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Fullah.
As evidently stated, the APC executive, as I was saying to you, is not only inept, particularly the Secretary General and the top executive of the APC party, but they have been compromised, and we have evidence to believe that money they pass to them. That is the reason why, if you get an executive like this, an opposition, therefore be very proactive, therefore be outspoken, they tackle the government on issues of this drug, on corruption, on transparency and accountability, like the case of, we talk about Laura Taylor Pierce. They only made a press release and forgot about it. No representation, no action. You talk about action. Not only the writing, it's for you to act. And they have the right to peaceful protest. If the government only say, "We're not doing a peaceful protest," it is your right. It is in the Constitution. The Constitution allows that. But is this executive doing that? No, they're not doing that. So they have not only legitimized MAADA bill, but they embolden him to do what he's doing today.
I just read somebody in comments, Kroma, Dr. Fullah is not there to answer your tricky question. we will slam you. Very interesting. Many thanks, Eddie, and travel business. Yeah. Now for send we the advert, we advertise there as well for a little fee. Where for promote the business. Come on, man.
Yes.
Eddie, not just they can make comments and advertise quickly. But anyway, Dr. Fullah, on the same note again, let's just provoke you into this. So the criticism offered now to the leadership, the executive of the APC, has it got to do with the fact that the APC is no longer supporting almost the position that Slam has taken? Is that why you are being so critical of the executive?
No, that's not the reason. Reason being, before we, maybe you haven't seen, or maybe the one we wrote to them personally, we haven't published. We wrote to the APC, the Secretary General. We wrote to the ex-president, Mium, Big Brother. They never acknowledged to bring them to the table to tell them, look, you got to take action. You got to do this. Oh, I can tell you, Mr. Kuruma, none of them have never acknowledged to us. And that is why we brought it to the light. Because make the people know, say, okay, because they're a member of the opposition. No, I belong to a party, but that doesn't mean I should not say the truth. That doesn't mean I should not be objective. That doesn't mean I should pamper the wrong things the people are doing. I've been like that always, from trade unionism. Whether you and my brother or not, we removed Fatoma the time when Fatoma was president, was secretary of Southern Teachers Union, and he was a member of parliament as well, and he was corrupt and education was going down the drain. We removed him. We removed him and all the executive. We are here for any organization that represents somebody's truth, regardless whether you're my brother. It doesn't matter. And
okay,
that is
Doc.
why
Doc. Yeah. We fast spent into this conversation because it's serious, and I believe both of us are enjoying it. And the chat room is really active as well. So your unions are participating, and this is
Good.
what we asked for.
Excellent.
And I can see whether you've been critical of us, whether you've been critical of me or the guest, but as long as it's done respectfully, we go put them on the screen so everybody go make a judgment for themselves. So I want to say thank you for that. Dr. Fullah, I just think we need for wrap up. So I get a few short put questions then what I want to put to you. Maybe I'll have to bring you another time because there are many unanswered questions. We tried them today, but we know in as much as you attempt a lot of them and you've clarified a lot of things to us, even myself, I'm equally still very inquisitive, Dr. Fullah, because I want to get around certain things. But let's just ask some short foot questions them quickly. So, for example, another press release thanked the government of the United States, senators and members of Congress a lot, for the support that they've given, the display of leadership and etc., etc. Have you received any letter to that effect, any accolade to that effect, any invite to that effect? I mean, what prompt such a statement now one of our bulletins?
Well, as I said to you, most of the organizations or stakeholders, they do reply to us, and hence the reason we write short, acknowledgement, appraisal, more importantly, letters of gratitude to them. Because, as I said, because SLAM is a very credible, not only independent, apolitical, impartial, but it's a very credible strategic organization. Most organizations, most stakeholders do recognize the work of SLAM. Hence, we are having those letters expressing our gratitude and appreciation because of the acknowledgements within the giveaway, and also not only praise the sport, the kind of work we do, and also making sure that we do the right thing, and even giving us advice.
Okay, Dr. Fullah, I believe this will be almost my last one to you before I give you the conclusion. Lawyers they elect for summarize, at the end of a proceeding. So we will give you the opportunity, for conclude, which I believe, could be kind of brilliant, in terms of all this conversation. But this is it, Dr. Fullah. It appears almost like a threat, when they talk about the production of the election results, the disaggregated list, constituency by constituency, and etc. Now, something I will get for bring you come back again for let we talk about, because I've been look at the issue of moral obligation as opposed to the law. But I guess at some point you said both, are there in the Constitution and etc. But I believe, say, one side, somebody can choose, say,
well, they intertwine. I will use the word, they are intertwined and interwoven.
They are intertwined and interwoven. Let's agree with that. But I can choose, say, I don't want to be moral. But if I don't want to be moral,
Okay.
they go charge me in a court for that.
Okay.
But waiting the law prescribed, then of course you can take me in a court and, but anyway, Dr. Fullah, which I been trying to say.
As you said, another day, let's get this discussion another day, sir.
Yes, sir. That's why I'm moving forward exactly, because this is my concluding question. You said, or the organization say, if the production of these results as from one time is not come out, it almost sounds like a threat that action will be taken, which the government not go like. I wonder what you mean by that. Have you seen yourself through? I see you shake your head, so go ahead, please.
Yes. Well, the actions, we're already taking the actions. We don't write, they don't reply. We don't write to ECSL, we don't write to the government, we don't ask the president and in government and illegitimate and incompetent government for step down. They haven't. We don't ask the parliamentarians, the so-called illegitimate parliamentarians, for make the impeachment. They didn't. We don't write to the opposition leader. Lukaku, they listen to me. We did at the same forum. They don't ask questions. I even mentioned I've written to him. He has never, not even acknowledged receipt of our letters. We'll continue to press on.
No, Dr.
And not in a violent way, because we are a non-violence organization, but we will continue to make representation to the right people, for make sure say things happen, for make sure say justice actually is upheld in that country. We'll make sure we do that, and also the rights and the human rights of the people which have not been upheld, but more importantly, social justice and electoral justice.
Yeah, Dr. Fullah. Now I'm going to quote within the press release, the last paragraph. In view of the above, that was the production of the things that we talk about upon refusal. So in view, I'm quoting you, sir. I'm quoting the organization. In view of the above, we urge you once again to reveal the disaggregated data as requested by members of the tripartite committee. If you have not already done so, failure to do so will lead to necessary action that will ensure forceful, I repeat, forceful, these are your words, compliance taken against you and your commissioners. Explain, please.
It's simple. Forceful compliance. If we can make representation from various quarters where they'll be forced to do it through sanctions. That'll be forceful compliance.
Not happened. That has not happened till date.
Right. No, we are not saying it has happened. But I tell you, we have made those representations. And we're not going to tell you that they are not going to happen. We have made them, and we'll make those recommendations strongly to members of parliament, to our stakeholders all over the world, and which will force them to do it.
So, Dr. Fullah, does time matters? And if I may ask you, before asking you this question again, when was this statement made? Will you recall? One? The statement I've just read.
You're not being fair with me. I don't get those people. There are so many everyday press listing. I can't tell you the date and the time.
Okay.
Doc, but what I'm saying to you,
before you go forward, you say I'm being unfair to you, and I want to agree with that, even though I've been expecting you get photographic brain, especially for remember something this much in which you threaten this the authority.
Every day we write letters, Mr. Kurma. Every day we make press releases.
You don't use the same jargon slightly. You're a man of words. That's the point. In this case, you were very specific, and there's no all the other bulletins. I haven't seen all of them, but all the other bulletins and releases that I've seen, there is nothing so threatening to me as this one, in which you were emphatic, straightforward, that if we don't see these actions that we've asked for, you will compel us to take forceful actions. This is what I'm speaking to. One will tend to remember these sort of that's what I'm saying, Doc.
I've already said to you, forceful actions are taking difference. We're not violent actions. We're non-violent organizations.
No one was implying that it's violent.
Yes,
forceful action does not necessarily mean violence.
Yes,
so insinuating that in this conversation.
No, I want to make it clear because those words used, people can misconstrue them, misinterpret them. So I want to make it clear. We have made representation where these people will be forced to take action. And we've made representation to MPs, members of parliament, not only here in the UK, even to senators and House of Representatives in America and even in Europe. We are making representation so that they pile pressure on these people so they can force them, twist their hands, make sure these things happen. So that is what we meant there. We are still continuing to make that representation.
Doc, the concluding statement, please.
We're not going to relent until it happens, by God's grace.
In conclusion, Doc.
Okay. In conclusion, thank you very much. I want to thank my colleagues, listeners, the audience, the Salon people with a faithful. We want to thank them most profoundly, most sincerely for coming at this very important, reputable program. Obviously, I'm going to come back, just like Mr. Kuruma said, at another point, at another time. Thank you for listening to us. But let me say this to you. This fight we are fighting, Salon Advocacy Movement, which is committed to advocacy, transparency, good governance, and human rights. You know, the only fight for APC or SLPP or PDP or PMDC or any other party. It is a fight for the people of the country. It is a fight for the soul of the country. It is a fight for social justice. It is a fight to uphold human rights. It is a fight for make sure we restore democracy. It is a fight for make sure electoral justice, our rights, which have been trampled on, which have been wasted, those rights are given to us. So at the crave, at the ask una kindness, una indulgence, una support, for make una join me in this. I know say there are people them we go there at the other side, but this is about posterity's sake. If we will not get justice now, what will happen in that country today? Now tell me, tomorrow, other person can do worst. Trust me. If we will not restore democracy, electoral justice now, trust me, not tell me say come as people predict, 2028, MAADA will never give power to APC or to any opposition. They will do the worst thing in that country. And that is why we want to make sure, say, electoral justice and democracy is restored in that country. Human rights of we people them are upheld. We are here to advocate for citizens' rights. We will make sure, say, we deal with UNAM, we support UNAM, we pray for UNAM, but we ask everybody, abide by the law. Stay peaceful, make sure say uphold the law, because we are law people and the country gets in laws them. Let's do it in a very civil, measured, and matured and professional way. We will continue to make representation for UNAM, and by God in power, we will make sure say we achieve with gold. For that reason, or in this light, I want to thank Una again for listening. And God bless you all. And thank you, Mr. Kuruma, for inviting me to this program. It is a privilege, it's an honor, and I look forward to coming back again and have more passionate discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fullah. I really appreciate your time. And
sorry, sir. Lastly.
Sure, please go ahead, please.
Can I ask people to if you want to join SLAM, now go to the website, as Mr. Kuruma did. At the website you go with numbers and the emails and you can join us. We also don't write a book called United Nations Promoting Democracy. You can also, it's available on Amazon. Go there. It's about promoting governance, good governance and democracy in Salon. We don't write that book today. It in Amazon, I think it costs about £30 per book. But also we try to give discount. But more significantly, and I'm going to invite Mr. Kuruma, thank God you gave me that chance. SLAM, they launch the organization for the first time in the UK on the 31st of May in the UK. So watch out. It's going to be hectic, but it's going to be profound. It's going to be awesome. Then anything you want about Islam, you go there, you go ask questions. We go invite MPs, dignitaries, even presidents, stakeholders, we can promote the citizens' interests and right of Sierra Leone. It's going to be on the 31st of May. And of course, Mr. Kroma will be invited as well, will be there. And also, we will also bring the books that we write, where we talk about democracy and good governance. Then the authors, one of me an author as part of about 10 authors, we will get a book where we'll give discounts where we go sign the books themselves, and you will get a copy, not free of charge, but we'll give you discount. But more importantly, you will meet important dignitaries. Come and let us make Sierra Leone. Put Sierra Leone first. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fullah. I wish you had pre-discussed this with me earlier, so for be able to put all of this information down, na the scroller screen. But notwithstanding, there is a little bit of time window, so we go get for come again and advertise this book signing event and this upcoming event, which I'm really, really looking forward to. And I appreciate your public invitation to me, and I want to publicly also state that I appreciate that and I've accepted it, and would love to be at that occasion and go mark and down Namidari. It's been your first time on the platform, and I deeply appreciate that, to be in the company of such a distinguished personality. Yes, it's healthy for us to have differences, because that's how we resolve with differences. We don't have to be yes all along. Then other than that, it won't be an interview, it will be a discussion.
That's true.
Here they talk. So I hope people understand that, because at some point, they use some language, not too foul enough, but I can see he's a huge fan of Dr. But having said this,
that's human nature.
Yeah, that's human nature. I understand that. I've been in the game for a while now. And also one thing I've been wanting for...
And you're doing well. You're doing well, Mr. Kroma. You're doing well. You're really doing well.
Doc. I appreciate that. Like every kind sentiment expressed, towards the platform. And I'm sure if I wasn't doing well, you will not have appeared today or taken up the invitation here to come. Another thing I want to acknowledge quickly before I close the program, because we're far gone into time and because the conversation was very good, the interview was good, is the level of participation in terms of the chat room. I mean, the opinions expressed. This is what we expect. We expect this place to be a marketplace of ideas. Yeah. As long as we express them respectfully, you can disagree with me, disagree with Dr. Fullah. Express your opinion. Please feel free. This is not salon today. That's the point. Where we cannot express, or we're in fear of expressing the opinion of our assemble. And no. Please share this wide and far. And the reason why I'm not able to show a slideshow of many of the things that we already talk about is because we experiment with a new system and I still try to adjust to them. So I'm not able to do a lot of things. But I appreciate you now all, and I'm sure we guys do the same. And then we go catch up again. We get big show, then they come. Doctor them. This now one doctor we come, the other doctor then they come. And say when you pull one doctor and I do the other one the follow. So thank you very much. Dr. Fullah, respect, sir. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
thank
audience.
you. God bless you.
Yeah,
okay. Bye everyone. Bye everyone.
No worries.